Hello and welcome to the first ever live edition of TBT Talks with me, your host Steve Hall. Joining me today, I've got Jack Sear and Craig Austin. We've decided to just do something a little bit different and release this live and exclusive. Hopefully those listening or watching on YouTube, hello. We're also going to have this released as a podcast later on, so if you're listening on iTunes, hello from the past. We've done this already and we're tucked away in bed or whatever we're doing, enjoying our weekend, and you're listening to our voices. Basically, we're going to talk about the Spurs game. We're going to talk about the news today about Daniel Sturridge's injury that he's picked up with Super Roy's England squad, and another injury for Daniel, another injury for Liverpool, caused by an international friendly / training session. We're also going to have a little look ahead towards the game against Aston Villa. I know it's a while away, but next week, hopefully we're going to bring you a special edition of TBT Talks, a bit of a transfer roundup. We're hoping to get fans of a few other teams involved. So we're going to do our Villa preview today because we're going to be busy doing that next week. It takes a bit of effort and a bit of planning, etc. And I'm not the most technological advanced person in the world, I'll be honest. Anyone who knows me can attribute that. So it probably takes me 6 hours to set that up. So I won't have time to do another podcast. So without further ado, I'll come to Ozzy. Oz, before the Spurs game, we all thought maybe it would be a tight game, and we all said it won't be 4-0, it won't be 5-0 again, but it probably could have been, and it went pretty much, bar the odd defensive hiccup, went pretty much as good as we could expect, yeah.
As you say, before the game, I was expecting a tight affair, nothing to the extent of what happened at White Hart Lane last season, because notoriously down the years, Spurs away has always been a tough fixture for us, but as you said, from the very first whistle, to be honest, mate, we look completely comfortable in the game, and as you said, it probably should have been 5 again.
Absolutely, mate. I say there was Balotelli misses a couple of chances that you'd hope in a few weeks' time /maybe he would put them away. Especially the second header, I think was one he probably should have scored. He also had the Snapchat / That's an app. Snapshot, I was going to say. That went near the corner flag. No, he didn't do a Snapchat.
It'd have been a pretty good Snapchat if he'd done it at the time, though.
You know what, mate? It wouldn't surprise me one day Mario decides to do a Snapchat after
There's
the
that
game.
picture of him at Milan, isn't there, with them people that came on the pitch in the pre-season game. He just poses for a selfie with them.
Pose with a selfie with a pitch invader, So you might end up with a Mario Snapchat, but I meant Snapshot. So Jack, was you surprised that he started? There was a lot of rumours beforehand that he wasn't going to start. Maybe Markovic was going to play. But really, in the end, the manager, I think the changes he made, obviously Johnson missed out with injury, Skrtel missed out with injury, and obviously we brought Balotelli in ahead of Coutinho, who to be fair struggled in the first couple of games. Was that the team you expected, or was you pleasantly surprised?
Yeah, it was the logical team, I think. I mean, I think it was the team I expected up until the night before, where there was all the rumours about Markovic starting and stuff. The whole reason I sort of expected it to be that is because obviously the two games before where we changed to the diamond, we just looked a different side. Like all the front players had a lot more freedom, Sturridge, and it brings Sterling inside as well. And you've already seen with that Spurs game the why we should do that as well. You get your best players involved, and at the moment he's probably our best player on current form, which is mental at 19 years of age. But it really helps us out, that diamond formation, and the early signs were that the Sturridge and Balotelli partnership was going to work well. I mean, all the questions before the game were sort of, would he work hard and how would his attitude be? And he was very, very good in terms of pressing and that. I mean, he didn't get his goal, but his hold-up play and you could see his quality. And I'm not worried about goals with either him or Sturridge. They're both guaranteed goals, I think, and even when they don't score, we still win 3-0 at White Hart Lane. So yeah, it was a brilliant performance, and certainly reminded everyone of last season, and it's got everyone in a really positive mood going forward.
Absolutely, I agree with your point there about the diamond, and I'm going to speak to Ozzy about that now. If you look at the first goal, I don't think Liverpool can score that first goal if we're playing the 4-3-3, because I think we were able to get the ball higher up the pitch, and I think Sterling is able to be in the position he's in, Henderson and Sturridge are, and it was a great goal, really. Good work by Sturridge and Henderson, and then into Sturridge, and then obviously the ball to Sterling. It was a very well worked goal, and it was one that, I'll be honest, Liverpool were playing okay, but I thought Spurs were, pretty much coping with us. But it just showed that, if you win the ball high up the pitch, a couple of passes and you're in goal, and in the form Raheem Sterling's in, he's not going to miss that.
Mate, the goal pretty much epitomised a lot of what was good about Liverpool last season and what was missing from the first 2 games of the season, which was the high intensity press up the pitch and winning the ball back high up the pitch through Jordan Henderson's pressing, and then a great bit of work between him and Sturridge. When we played at Diamond, mate, it allows Raheem to drift right across the front line. The defenders can't pick him up, they just don't know where he is, and it gives him a bit of licence to arrive late in the box, as he did. And fortunately enough, neither the centre-half or the right-back had a clue where he was, and fortunately enough, he left him all alone in the box to tuck it away. It was a great little finish as well, to be fair to him.
I was about to say, I think the finish has been, somewhat overlooked, because it was a great move and it was a great ball across, but he basically beats Lloris, doesn't he? Well, you'd say his near post, obviously Lloris was getting across, but it was a strange place to aim for. In fact, wasn't he? He just basically slotted it in the near post. It wasn't you'd expect maybe him to slash it, hit it back where it came from or whatever, but he squeezed it pretty simply, didn't he, into that nice little corner. It was reminiscent a little bit of what he done against City, where he basically just pops it into the goal without thinking about it. He doesn't overcomplicate it. He sees the shortest route and knocks it in.
I think it was a case of the pace on the ball. It was almost the last chance he had to reach it. It was almost like it was behind him when he did get to it. So it was basically like it was just get something on it and hope for the best. And fortunately enough for us, Lloris hadn't got himself across the goal enough to make it to the ball. But it was a fantastic little finish, maybe, because I said it was literally the only place on the goal where he was going to score.
Absolutely was. And just to let you know, anyone who is listening live, guys on iTunes, this isn't really concern you. One of those things on ITV where they say, don't call in if you're watching on +1. Well, if you're listening on iTunes, don't bother tweeting me. But if you're listening live and you want any comments read out, just tweet us using #TBT Talks, and Jack's going to get to some later. We've asked a few questions. If you look through the timeline, any point you want to make, or looking ahead to Villa, how do we replace Daniel Sturridge? So if you want anything, we'll read a few out later. So if you want to send us something, please do so. Again, at the Bibfearists, using #TBT Talks. But we'll move on. Jack, the centre-back partnership, again, there was a little bit of talk, maybe Sarko wouldn't play, maybe Torre will play. The whole who's going to play right centre-back, who's going to play left centre-back thing that tends to dominate Liverpool, especially the social media world of, can Lovren play RCB, is he a LCB, is JCB, TBT, FBC, whatever you're talking about. So I think the manager, obviously, what he did, he made the right call, because Kolo Touré, for all he's worth, which I'm not sure what that is, he probably doesn't deserve to play, does he, really? And Sacco, a French international, and I'm not a big, huge, in terms of how it does affect you moving from two paces to your right or to your left or whatever, but it seemed to work pretty well. They had the one mistake, but I thought that was more to do with Lovren trying to go and win a ball that he probably shouldn't. He didn't need to go and win, because Sacco had control of it, and I think, was it Chadley who had the shot?
Yeah. Good save. Very good save.
Yeah, it was a very good save from Mignolet, to be fair. We give him a little bit of stick on the last show, and fair play to him, that was a very, very good save. But that partnership, if they sort out, who's going for what, because at the minute it looks like Lovren has been told everything in front of you have to go and win. And then Sacco's there thinking, well, I want to go and do this, and you get into a bit of a muddle, but it looks like a partnership that could work. And on the whole, I thought Sacco, especially first, he was giving the ball a lot, wasn't he? I thought the pass he put into Joe Allen, where Allen got booked, was a terrible pass, because he gave it to him with like 5
trouble.
Yeah. But there were signs there that, there's something to work on, and there's this stat that's been going about, when Skrtel doesn't play, Liverpool tend to keep clean sheets and stuff. Do you think this is something that the manager will persist with, and should he?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I think, to be fair, they both really grew into it, and I agree with your point about the longer they play together, I think the better they'll get. I think Lovren probably speaks a bit of French as well, which will help out with Sacco and that. And it's the partnership that everyone's wanted to see. And I'm not as harsh against Skrtel as some, but it does have the makings of a good partnership, that I think. And one of the main problems we had last season was with our defence was that we never gave the back four, or we were never able, with injuries and stuff, to give the back four a solid run in the side. And you just get the impression now that if we can get another clean sheet, I think Skrtel's out for a month, and I can't see Johnson being back for Villa next week. If we can get another clean sheet against Villa, then maybe he'll stick with this for a while, because obviously clean sheets is what we're after. He emphasised after the game that the whole, in the summer, the emphasis was on keeping clean sheets and that, because there's no doubt if we can do that, we'll win most of our games with our attacking players. So, it showed, like you say, there's a couple of dodgy moments at the beginning, and Sacco's a strange one because sometimes his passing is fantastic. Like his passing forward sets up attacks. He always looks forward. Doesn't really like to pass it sideways to his teammate, but he always tries to set up an attack. But then sometimes he can get a little nervy, and we saw that a couple of times against Spurs. But he really grew into it, like I say, and he got better as it went along. The tackling and the heading and the dominance is all there. It's just sometimes on the ball. And the same could be said for Lovren, to be fair. I mean, he gave the ball away once or twice in that first half, but then got better. And I think even when he doesn't have his best game, I mean, I think he'll be first to admit Spurs wasn't his best game. You can see all his attributes. I mean, his pace, his passing off both feet, long and short. There was some stat that was flying about at the end of the season that nobody had misplaced more passes, but his long sort of passing seems to be really good off both feet. He seems very quick, very dominant and aggressive, and he seems like the perfect sort of centre back for us to bring in. And I do think, I think for Villa, I expect that two to carry on, and if they have another good game, then I think it could definitely be a partnership going forward.
As I'll come to, Lovren needs to have a little think about when he dives in, doesn't he, mate? He's got this habit where he seems to go to ground a bit too easy, and against a better team, you're probably going to get punished. I thought Spurs had chances where he could have exploited it when he went to ground a bit too easy and just knocked it past them. That's probably something he needs to work on.
And he did get caught out a couple of times in the game, but thankfully not to any great cost of ourselves. But he seemed a little bit more nervy at the start of the Spurs game, mate, and I don't know whether that's because he had been moved across to right centre half or purely because he had a new partner at centre half. But as Jack just said there, the longer the game went, him and Sacco both grew into the game and formed a really solid partnership. I think it was only one instance where he barely got caught out was when Adebayor got away from him, but fair play to him, mate. He showed really, really good pace to get back and made a fantastic tackle in the box. Yeah, it had to be perfectly timed, because otherwise it was a penalty and Spurs right back in the game.
Yeah, you're right. I do think that's something he reminds me. He's a bit to be fair, Scale's pretty good at as well. Even if they do make a mistake, they are pretty decent at trying to rectify them with a bit of latch disc tackles. Obviously, it's not something we want to rely on, but it is there if you need it. So we get to half time, obviously start the game, come out, and obviously, but then we win the penalty. And again, Joe Allen, I think Joe Allen's been fantastic. I think I said he's been our most consistent player the first 3 games. I thought he did well when he come on against Southampton. I think he helped change the game along with the Lambert sub. He done well pretty much against City, where obviously the team we got beaten, but I thought Joe Allen equipped himself pretty well, and then obviously he done well again the other day. And even the taking the booking I thought was a good one. Sometimes you got to take that yellow card, but I'll come to you. Do you think it was a justified pen? Because I know that it was a well worked move, and I don't know where Capoue was going, and he left Dyer. He sold him down the river a bit, because all Joe Allen did was make a little tiny simple run and was through. But the arm did come across, and he did catch Allen, but he did seem to go down pretty easy. What do you think?
It was a fantastic move to get the ball to Joe Allen, but it's one of them challenges, mate. Technically, it's a foul, isn't it? So no matter where on the pitch, it shouldn't make any difference as to whether the decision's given or not, because in the centre of the pitch, if that challenge is made and the foul's given, then nothing's made about it. So I'm in the opinion of it should have been given, but he did go to ground pretty easy, and let's say I'd have been a little bit disappointed if it got given against us.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I always say, listen, if a player's entitled to go down and maybe feels contact, then go down and see what happens. Was it buy a ticket and you might win the raffle? The only thing is, I wonder if Joe was maybe thinking another yellow card, he might have been in trouble, obviously, but a bit of Emre Can's where Can dived when he was on a yellow card against City. But Jack, we've got, Balotelli now is in the team, obviously great penalty taker. Ricky Lambert's hanging around, great pen taker, although he did miss in pre-season. The weight seemed to be a while, didn't it, on Gerrard's pen, Jack? And I'm not sure about you, but was you confident he was going to score? Because for a second there, I must admit I had my doubts about it.
Yeah, I think, like he said after the game, I think people are not looking forward, but they're waiting for him to miss, aren't they? With Balotelli being so good and that. I mean, Roger said that Balotelli asked about the penalty taken at Liverpool, but to be fair, I mean, Gerrard's had to take a lot of penalties in the last year or so, and he's been pretty faultless. So bar the one he missed at Old Trafford, the second one, I don't think he has missed another, has he? So, yeah, I mean, I was pretty confident, to be fair. Lloris, I think the whole stadium, the thing is with Gerrard's penalties, the whole stadium usually knows where he's going to hit it. It's usually bottom left or bottom right for the keeper. But it's just the power and the accuracy he puts into it quite often makes it unstoppable. So, yeah, I think when he does miss one, I think, we have obviously got the other players to step in, and it's really handy for the FA Cup and the Champions League to have so many good penalty takers. But I think Gerrard's justifying his role as the penalty taker at the moment.
Absolutely, if he carries on scoring them, then you can't complain, can you? It was a great pen. And do us a favour, Jack, have a look through the Twitter. I'll come back to you in a sec, see if anyone's made any points about the Spurs game that they want to bring up. And while you do that, I'll speak to Ozzy about the fullbacks, basically. I was Manquillo, obviously Moreno scores the goal, and we'll touch up on that in a minute. But for a while now, people have been crying out about Liverpool's fullbacks. Glenn Johnson, in particular, has obviously had his little struggles and what have you. Well, I say little struggles. That's an understatement. He's been pretty much terrible for a while now, to be fair. I don't think that's being too harsh, actually. I think he'd be the first.
I think that's being kind to him, mate.
Yeah, I was going to swear, but I thought, I'm not sure what the rules are with YouTube, if get in trouble or anything. And I'm not going to be bothering bleeping myself out. But yeah, he's been terrible. He's been rubbish. And Manquillo, for a young lad, done pretty well, didn't he? And without going on too much about Moreno's goal, it was nice to see that we looked like we had, proper fullbacks once. No disrespect to John Flanagan.
Right back and left back, mate. It was a complete breath of fresh air. For once in a long time, I felt comfortable when we were being attacked down the wings, mate, that we were going to be able to handle it. Because one of the main stats of both of the lads before they came in was how good they are at blocking the cross, and they showed it again on Sunday. That's a massive attribute to both of their games. And a lot of the times, mate, I know we concede a lot from set pieces and stuff, but we also concede a lot of goals from teams who attack us down the wings and get the crossing. And if that's something that the pair of them are going to bring to the team to stopping the cross getting in, then ultimately we're going to concede a lot less goals. And as I said, I just thought it was a massive breath of fresh air, mate, from both of them.
We might as well go on to, Finn of Manquillo play well, but, Moreno pretty much stole the show, didn't he, especially with the goal. But he looks, you can see why Liverpool wanted him, and there was talk, wasn't he, £20 million, and we obviously, it looks like we got him for 12 plus add-ons, whatever. It looks like he's worth for £20 million, so to get him for what we did, he looks a real steal, and he looks like a player that the Liverpool fans will take to him. Not only is he, he's quick, which we know this team's full of pace, and he fits right in there again. It's probably something where that's probably one area where Flanagan doesn't, have the attributes that he does in terms of, getting up and down the pitch quickly. Again, I'm not disrespecting Flanagan. I think he's a good squad player, a good player, but Moreno's quick, he's strong, he's direct. He looks like he wears his heart on his sleeve. You see that by his celebration. And even when he left Sevilla, when you see him crying, it looks like he's a very emotional guy. Which again, I think that's something that he'll endear himself to the crowd. But it looks like we've got a real player there. And if you look at the goal, when he basically, Andres Townsend's only just come on the pitch, fresh legs, and he leaves him for dead runs 40, 50 yards, whatever, and slots home. It was a great display by him, and we've got a real player there, I think.
I mean, I'm not going to say I've seen a massive amount of him at Sevilla, but I had seen little bits of him from last season, and you could see he was a massive talent, and he looks like he's got the capability to go on and become a real class act. But his performance on Sunday made for... I had little worries what the mistake against Man City was going to do to him mentally as a new player coming into such a league like the Premier League, but he showed me he's got a massive character, and he just shrugged it off and played like it was his first game all over again, if I'm honest. And the kid was frightening me. Defensively, he was superb, but going forward, he offers us a whole new dimension. He's like what Glenn Johnson was when Glenn Johnson first come in the attacking sense of every time he got forward, he looked like he could make something happen and he was going to create something. And as you said, the goal, it's frightening, and come the end of the season, it's going to be up there with one of our goals of the season, I think, because I said when he ran away from Townsend is by no means a slow player, and he was never getting back anywhere near him. And I was looking around for what help was with him and where he was going to be able to square the ball to, where he was going to be able to cross it to. But when you look at the goal back, he never once got his head up or looked at anyone who was with him. He knew what he was doing, and the finish is absolutely fantastic. It's the only place on the goal he's going to score, because Lloris is a fantastic keeper, and even at full stretch, he was nowhere near it.
Yeah, it was a goal that a striker, if Lionel Messi scores that goal, you wouldn't be surprised, would you? You know what I mean? It looks like a goal what any top striker in the world, Ronaldo, Messi, whoever you want to, Suarez, whatever, could do, and to see it from a fullback. Not just the run, but the composure and the finishing. Like you say, it looked like from 2 yards into his run, he knew he was going to score.
Yeah, mate, it looked like a confidence thing, to be honest. It looked like he felt like himself, like he was untouchable, and he knew from the second he got up, won the ball off Townsend, that there was only one outcome. And what I think is fantastic, mate, before it's even hit the net, he's offered his hand in the air looking for where the Liverpool fans are. So it shows it's a cockiness, mate, but it's a good cockiness to have him. I think he's going to be a massive asset for us as the season goes on.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And I say that was pretty much that. We won 3-0. Jack, have we got anything on the Twitter? Anything people have sent us in about the game?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. There's a question that's coming from @ScottTaylor UK, who comes on some of the Big Three shows quite a lot. It's quite an interesting one. He says, on the Lovren and Sarko stuff, he says, do you think Lovren is playing with his heart rather than his head at the moment, a bit like Gerrard does versus Everton? I sort of saw some people with that shout the other week. And the other stuff is about sort of team selection, which I'm sure we'll come on to later. But what do you think to that, guys?
Yeah, go on, Oz. Before I'll let Ozzy answer, but all I'll say is I think it's the opposite, mate. I think he's going with his head in terms of what he's been instructed to do. To me, it sounds as if the manager said, listen, I want you to be aggressive on the front foot and go and win the ball. And he's doing that, a lot. He's going for everything. Like that header, there's no need for him to go to.
I agree, yeah.
Oz, what do you think?
I kind of both agree and disagree, to be honest with me, because we all seen before he eventually signed for us how desperate he was, and saying his heart and his head are already at Liverpool and stuff. So he is trying sometimes too hard to make an impression instead of just playing his normal game. But I also agree to an extent that Brendan Rodgers is probably telling him to be on the front foot and be aggressive and try and win the ball at the earliest opportunity. So I'm hoping personally, and in the games to come, mate, he will settle down and he'll realise that he is here now and he's here to stay, and his place in the team secure, and he'll hopefully become the centre half we all want him to be.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and we'll move on now from the game again. A great 3 points, I think 6 points from those 3 games. I think that's a respectable total. I don't think not many teams are going to go to the Etihad and get anything. Although Stoke just proved that you can, but I don't think many teams are going to go there and beat City. If I'm honest, I don't think they'll drop too many points at home. And I think from the corresponding fixtures last year, we only had 3 points. So to get 6, we've done pretty well. Obviously, plus we are adapting to life without Luis Suarez, and we are trying to figure out. I think the manager's still trying to figure out his best team, and I think he found at the weekend. Unfortunately, but the injury that's to Daniel Sturridge that we're going to talk about now is, again, once again, derailed that. Liverpool aren't going to be able to get their best team on the park, which is a shame. The whole England debate thing, I do get it, because, listen, I'm not a huge England fan. I don't really tend to give that much of a toss about them, but he got injured training for a competitive game, and that can happen. When you see players in friendlies, that's what pisses me off. And he did play 90 minutes in a friendly that he didn't need to play. I think, what's the point of playing Daniel Sturridge? You know who he is now, and if you don't, Roy, then more fool than you already are, because you're a massive fool anyway. But Jack, it's a massive. Well, I say massive blow. We don't even know how long he's out for. Reports are saying 3 weeks. I've seen some saying 6 weeks. If you look at his Twitter account, it looks like his legs fell off. So, according to how he's wrote it, he said his head fell off, his head's gone. But so it could be anything really. But the fact Liverpool didn't get in another striker, they kept Fabio Borini, and so well, I say another striker. Obviously they got Balotelli in, but they didn't go. They decided to keep Borini, or Borini decided he's staying, so they didn't get no one else in. So Liverpool's striking options, if he wants to play the two, but Roger wants to play two, he's got Ricky Lambert, he's got obviously Balotelli's a cert now, excuse me, and he's got Borini. So we before we got to the Twitter, we've asked people what they would do in terms of changing the team and stuff, and we've had a lot of response. We'll get to them, but just on the Sturridge thing, the one thing that I always question Daniel Sturridge about, his injury record is pretty poor. I think I saw today, is it 11 injuries in 21 months? That's a lot, and it is something. Obviously, it's not really. I don't think it's his fault. You can't really blame a guy for getting injured all the time, but it is something that Liverpool, do need to be wary of. That the fact that when he's on the pitch, he'll score goals, but you've got to get him on the pitch, and everyone talks about managing Steven Gerrard's workload. Maybe we need to do the same with Sturridge, just to keep him healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter at the moment, I'm just looking, is rife with rumours. I think that have come from the Evening Standard, so I don't see why people are taking it quite so seriously. That he's out for 4 months, which would be pretty ridiculous. I mean, me and Ozzy were talking off air before. There's some Michael Owen and I think Jason Burke from the Telegraph were on 5 Live earlier saying that it looked like a tear, which would keep him out a long time, certainly months rather than weeks. But then there's obviously a couple of reports, the first few reports that came from the Mirror and the Guardian, that it's more like 2 to 3 weeks. So, all we can say is that we want him back sooner rather than later, but it could be a lot worse. I mean, for a little while in that transfer window, it looked like we were going to struggle to get in a striker, and the bottom line is we got in a really good one, who's obviously got to step up now. And as Rodgers has shown before, there's plenty of ways around it, certainly more than last year. I mean, if this had happened last year, we're looking at bringing in Moses and players like that, or a centre midfielder and totally having to change the approach. But even if we can't bring in a striker now, we've got players like Lallana's obviously back fit now, scored in a friendly today apparently, and obviously got Markovic, Coutinho, and the only shame is that Origi can't play really, because he'd have been ideal as sort of a replacement for Sturridge. I think fair to say we're all looking forward to getting him in next year, but it was all part of the deals. If we were going to sign him, we were going to have to loan him back there. But it's obviously a massive blow. I mean, certainly after seeing that Spurs game where the diamond worked so well, and obviously one player I didn't mention there, stupidly, was Lambert. He gives us the opportunity to stick with the diamond, but looking at the prospect of him and of Sturridge and Balotelli linking up the other day, it looked really good, and it's just such a shame. He's the one player now that you wouldn't want to get injured really, because you do sort of have to change things about a bit, and he's shown how important of a player he is for us, and he can literally pop up with a goal at any time. So we'll have to hope that it's not long. Like you say, his tweet earlier wasn't so encouraging, but we're just going to have to wait and see with it. And like you say, his injury record really isn't good, but that's why we built up the squad this summer. So there's plenty of quality players to come into his place.
Yeah, no, it's a good point actually. Last year if this happened, like you say, it would have been, Moses might have played, Aspas might have played. I suppose we could have brought Lucas in and changed formation. and could maybe shift to Coutinho and Sterling wide of Suarez. Obviously, again, 4-3-3 is an option. But us and Jack, again, if you have a little look through Twitter, I'll come back to you in a sec with a few teams. But is the way where we can get the diamond working, but without Daniel Sturridge? Jack?
Is Ozzy gone?
Sorry
about that.
Looks like you go in. It looks like Ozzy's dropped
Yeah,
off.
yeah, I think he is. I mean, you listened to Rodgers' comments the other day about the strikers that he's got. I mean, he was trying to flog off Barini, and he said in the quotes about him wanting Barini to leave that he has got 3 strikers there that he's really happy with. I think you'll agree with me. I've heard you say a few times on podcasts and that Lambert is a bit underrated by some of the fans at the moment, probably because of he didn't score in pre-season and stuff. But the bottom line is we've got a striker there who has in the last couple of years been one of the best in the league, and with him being a Liverpool boy and everything, that obviously helps. But I think too much is being made of that. The bottom line is we've got a really good striker there. I mean, people saying, "Oh, he's a plan B, he's a target man," but he really isn't in terms of I think a lot of his best plays is sort of technically and getting other players involved. And I'd be, with it being Aston Villa at home, I'd be more than tempted to put him in and keeping the diamond the same, because I think he does deserve a chance based on those first couple of games where he did come on and have an effect. So there's definitely a way to carry on with the diamond, yeah. And also Barini, maybe Rodgers is looking back now and thinking, well, and Barini will certainly be thinking, it's a good job I didn't go, especially if Sturridge is out for long. He does give us an option. I mean, I think to be fair, a lot of his best football last year for Sunderland came out on the left hand side. But we saw what Rodgers did with the likes of Flanagan and Sterling last year and developing players. And if Barini gets a chance, hopefully we can see something similar from him.
Yeah, but Ozzy's back with us. He just decided to go for a stroll, I think, or something. Well,
he decided to overheat mate and tell me the temperature was too hot and it needed to cool down.
Yeah, it's this hot debates and hot topics that was a cheesy link.
I do apologise.
No, we're live. Can I say that? Oh, I just did. Yeah, I was just the question I asked. I asked you, and then Jack kind of took over as you went away. And Jack's going to read some tweets out of people sending teams in a minute, and people are suggesting maybe going back to a 4-3-3 and maybe or moving Sterling up front or whatever. But I don't know about you. I think, and I don't want to lead you into it, but surely we should build our team. I think anyway about around Raheem Sterling being our number 10 in the diamond. I think to move him just to try and cover an injury. It seems a bit nonsensical to me. What do you make of
it? That's sort of for me, because personally, in the game so far, we've looked a lot more dangerous in game when we switched it up. It ultimately won us. We switched it up. I know we've been down at the time when we switched it up against Man City and went to the diamond with short top. It was the first time throughout the whole game that we looked dangerous, and we all know what happened at Spurs last Sunday, but it seems kind of inevitable that we're going to have to go to it, mate, because it doesn't seem mobile enough to me, and I'd kind of worry about the movement of the two, and because when you've got two up front which like to drift runs into the channels which create a lot of space for players behind, so I'd kind of worry about that. But listen, whatever way Brendan goes next week against Villa, we've got a lot of options now, mate, and we've all made a great deal over the summer of how we've had a great strength in depth for the squad. So, I think it'll be a time where we see it utilised, and you probably will ship. I think we will ship back to the 43.
No, fair enough. I think you're dropping in and out there, Oz, but I think we got the gist most of that. But Jack, Twitter again, we sent out and we've had tons of response. What do you think? If you want to read a few out in terms of what people think Liverpool should do now, Sturridge is missing for a few weeks.
Yeah, like you say, a lot of it is of people saying, going back to the 4-3-3, at Lil Faz2 just simply says Lallana is the man we should replace Sturridge with. At Robin Byland LFC says, I'll go 4-3-3, Gerrard, Allen, Henderson in midfield, Lallana, Sterling, either side of Balotelli. At RHCP_M says, I think he'll use a 4-2-3-1 formation, Balotelli forward and Coutinho, Lallana behind. So Coutinho, having not been in that Spurs game, is one we're kind of forgetting. Ian Young Cop says, didn't we sign Lambert for this very reason? Either that or push Sterling further forward and bring Coutinho back in. I agree with the Lambert point there. Sterling, I've seen a few people say that about playing him up front, but for me, I think sort of kind of agrees what you just said there about building the team around him. I think you want a player like that, who at the moment is our most influential player. You want him involved, don't you? You want him in the middle of the pitch, you know. I think that diamond formation really suits him as well when he plays at the tip, because he goes back and he helps out as well, and it just gives him license to roam. So yeah, there's some people saying Sterling further forward, but I probably wouldn't do that. And just the last one for now, at Postagren says, give Barini a chance together with Mario. So, you know, there's a few shouts for Barini, basically probably based on the fact that, as Ozzy just said, maybe people are assuming that Lambert probably can't play with Balotelli, but you know, I think, you know, a lot of the stuff coming from Twitter and the fans is Lallana. So
yeah, Lallana seems to be one that people want to get in the side, and I do understand it, but for me, when we've played 4-3-3 this season, we haven't looked good at all. I don't think we were particularly impressive against Southampton. City, although we kept the ball, we didn't really look like we were going to score for a while, and then they just killed us. So I don't see why you would then go back to 4-3-3, which everyone says, you know, exposes Steven Gerrard to an extent. It isolates Raheem Sterling. To go back to that for just because of one injury, for me, seems nonsensical. But I do take the point that, you know, a Lambert and Balotelli partnership might not be the most mobile, but like I say, Barini is an interesting shout, and you know, two Italians up front might not be the worst idea ever, and maybe if Balotelli does the job of staying up there and Barini maybe drifts about, then I could see that working, but I'm not sure if that's something Rodgers will go for. It looked like he almost tried to kick Barini out the door before the deadline ended. His comments in the press conference about, you know, players have got to decide what they want to do, stay or, you know, sit on the bench or go and play. I think that was aimed pretty much at Barini. I think we can all assume. So the thing I don't get, and I'll come to you, people saying Sterling up front. For me, Sterling is at his best when he's got the game. You know, he gets the ball and turns and runs at defenders when he's in space. I think to stick him up front, you know, 10 yards closer to a centre half pair, and that seems pretty. I don't know. I think you're taking away a lot of his game. What do you think?
I agree to an extent, mate, but I think one of the main attributes where Sterling's improved over the last 12 months is his finishing, mate. He's scoring a lot more goals than I think any of us anticipated when he first broke into the side, when he didn't look like he could hit a barn door. Yep. So I can kind of see why some people would call for it, but personally, I'm with you, mate. I want to play our players where they're most dangerous, and Sterling's most dangerous where he picks the ball up in between defence and midfield and turns and runs at people.
I 100% agree. I think even if you do play Lambert can almost be almost if you do play with Balotelli, almost a lightning rod in that he might not affect the game too much, but he'll at least attract the centre half. I'll have to worry about Lambert. A fullback might have to worry about, because Lambert will drift a little bit. I think if he did play, and I think he deserves his chance. He's our backup striker at the end of the day, so maybe he does. But we'll look ahead at the Villa game in a minute. But I'm just going to get your thoughts, guys. We had the Champions League draw last week. Obviously, Real Madrid, Lugaretz, is it, and Basel, whatever you want to say. There's a correct, if you want to use the correct pronunciations, if you're that bothered about stuff like that. I'm obviously not, but Jack, it was pretty much the group that a lot of people, you know, wanted. We've got the big glamour tie that, you know, justifies the fact that we're back in Europe and we're not playing on Thursdays against shy teams or I'm allowed to say that, I just did. Or we're not playing against no European football at all. We've got Real Madrid, we've got the champions, we've got the most successful team in the competition. But then from pot 2, we got a team that Liverpool are better than, in my opinion. We were better than a lot of those teams anyway, but I think PSG was a possibility which would have been tough. So Bale isn't a disaster, although our record against them last time wasn't great. And then obviously, is it Ludogorets who get through with a goalie saving a pen and a min-over team? It pretty much couldn't have gone much better, could it?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect balance, really, isn't it? I think Madrid is going to be the big one. Even the fixture list is ideal for me. I mean, the only slight annoying one is that we've got Madrid at home before we've got them away, I think. So yeah, it is the perfect balance. I mean, even I was watching Madrid the other night and they lost and they didn't look very good at all defensively. And it's just, I mean, we obviously have to wait and see on the fitness of Sturridge. But I think, everyone's talking about a great occasion, but I think we'll give them a really good game and possibly get a result, and we're more than capable of getting a result in both games. With us being in pot 3, I mean, everyone was sort of talking about, Liverpool will be in the group of death, but we're actually not, I don't think. We've probably drawn the best team we could have possibly got out of pot 2 in Basel, and I think everyone would expect us to get out of that group, really. We've managed to draw a better group, really, than Arsenal, who are in pot 1, I believe, and also City, who've yet again got a tough group. So, like you say, it's a great balance, and it's great to see it back. I mean, the first game's after Villa, isn't it? So it's only it's under 2 weeks away now at Anfield against Ludogorets. So the first game is probably the easiest one of the lot on paper. So yeah, it's brilliant to see it back, and we were really, really lucky with that group.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying it's Ludogorets at home, and then is it away to Bale, and then home to Real Madrid? I think that's right, is it, Jack?
Yeah, that's right.
I wouldn't be that surprised, though, if we've got 9 points after those, I'll be honest. I think Madrid coming to Anfield, listen, they're a fantastic team, and that front, what would you call it, quartet of James, Bale, Ronaldo, Benzema, with Modric and Toni Kroos, it is formidable. But I don't think we've got, we're as dangerous as them. I don't think the standard of our players are as quite well known as those, but we're good enough to cause them problems. And I think bar away, it might not be easy, and you might even take a point. But I agree with what Jack says. Then the way the fixtures have felt, the fact that we open up with the easiest game of the group, hopefully get off to a good start. It is there for us to not just get out that group, but I think it's there for us to top it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying. With the way the fixtures have felt, it's almost quite perfect, really, that we get the min or unknown side away from home, which they're going to be up for it, aren't they, mate? It's a fairy tale story how they got through to the Champions League, but let's face it, they shouldn't really be causing us too much problems, and we should come away pretty comfortable winners from that one. And Ballaway is a funny one to take, I think. Although everyone knows them now, and they've got a pedigree for being in Europe, whether it be Europa League or Champions League every year. They're a side who am I right in saying they went and won away at Stamford Bridge last year or the year before? So
yeah, home and away. I think they've done the double over Chelsea in the group.
They're not going to be any walk in the park, mate, by any stretch of the imagination. So although we're far capable of going there and beating them, mate, I think I'd be kind of happy to go into the 2 games back to back with Real Madrid, having taken 4 points from that. And why not go and beat Madrid in the Bernabeu? Yeah, they're 10 times winners and they've got a fantastic side. But as Jack just touched on there, the game against, I think it was Sociedad at the weekend, mate, they were absolutely awful defensively. And we're a different kettle of fish attacking to what Sociedad are. So we go, mate, and we're going to have to weather a storm early on, no doubt. But if we weather that storm, mate, and then we get at them, who knows, why not go and beat them?
Absolutely. Listen, I said we'll beat anyone.
And sorry to jump back in, it's Real Madrid at home before away.
Yeah, Madrid home, yeah. So I think them coming to Anfield, that's right. I think if they come to Anfield, I think we can get. I'm fascinated, Jack, to see how Brendan sets the side up in Europe. Is he going to stick out with this almost? Is he going to maybe play like I hope he doesn't, like we did against City, where he tried to control the game and keep the ball without being relentless like we usually are, or is he going to just go, right, this is what brought us to the dance, let's just go with it?
Yeah, I think that was one of the pros I said after the City game of having them away so early. I think we'd have learnt quite a lot from that, in that if he could go back, I think he'd definitely go and play the diamond with Lambert up top, with Sturridge for that. I mean, obviously Balotelli wasn't in time, but what we saw with that game was that, yes, we dominated them in midfield, but we needed to score goals, and we didn't quite have that enough up front. So maybe, I mean, Madrid will probably, they've just sold Alonso, so they're probably quite likely to play with, if everyone's fit, Rodriguez in a number 10, and very much have a front four. Obviously Ronaldo, Bale and Benzema making up that front four. So I think it'll be really interesting to see. I mean, what we also don't know is how much he's going to rotate Rodgers. Well, I mean, we've never seen him given, with this amount of games and this amount of options. Is he going to, I mean, Benitez went through a couple of seasons where he just changed, literally just made 5 or 6 changes for each game with Champions League and stuff. So we've certainly got the players. I mean, you look at some of the players sitting on the bench now, like Markovic and Coutinho and that. We've certainly got the players to change it right up and still have a really good side. So in terms of Madrid away, I think he'll in an ideal world, he'll want more good sort of direct attacking players on the pitch than we had against City. I mean, we obviously had Coutinho on the left that day, so even if we do play a 4-3-3, maybe have a Markovic out wide or a Lallana. Or, like I say, we could, if Sturridge is fit, or if he wants to use Lambert, we could go with the 2 up top. So plenty of options, and I think they're certainly beatable, and it was handy having that City away game so early on.
Absolutely. So we've all got Europe to look forward to, and before we go, guys, we'll I know it's a while away, but we'll have a look at the Villa game, and it's a special moment for me, the Aston Villa home game, because it marks the return to Anfield of Ali Sissoko, who I think we'll all agree did a fantastic job at Liverpool, and was probably unlucky not to get signed up. And if you compare Moreno to Ali Sissoko, I'm not sure who got the better end of that deal, but
tough call.
It is, and my heart goes out to Ali, who I love to bits. But if we look at the game, Villa have actually done all right in the league. I think they're unbeaten. I think they got 7 points. They won at Stoke. They beat Hull at home, and I think they bored Newcastle in a 0-0 on the telly a few weeks ago. But they're a side, Oz, that we've pretty much struggled against, haven't we? I know last season we beat them 1-0 away in a tight game. I think Sturridge scored a very good goal, and then obviously we drew at Anfield, where for the first half they killed us the year before they beat us at Anfield. So this is another game, and it's one that basically, the last 2 years we haven't won this game, and we're going to have to be right on it to do it again, because Lambert, I'm not saying he's better than Brendan Rodgers, like some people might say, but he seems to have a little bit of he knows how to play against us, almost. Would you agree?
The main scourge and the focal point of both of the Villa's last 2 performances is I'm right in saying not going to be playing this week, though, and next week as it is in Christian Benteke. So hopefully we might get a bit of an easier ride, because he seems to absolutely torture us every time he plays us. But as you say, it's one of those games that the last couple of years especially that we seem to struggle against Aston Villa. And I think it was last season was the first game we used Gerrard in the defensive midfield role, and for the first hour he was made to look pretty stupid.
I think what happened in that one was, I think we almost went with a 4-2-4. I think we all got carried away with it.
Yeah, with the attacking.
And I think the manager soon clicked on that it wasn't working, and did change it up. I think we went with Suarez and Sturridge.
Lucas came on to change the game, didn't he?
Yeah, I think we had Suarez and Sturridge, and then Coutinho and Sterling all playing as almost the front four, and they went right down the middle of us. But again, they've had a good start. I think Weimann, I've got him in my fancy team. He scored a few little points for me there. Delph has just been called up to the England squad, which is ironic. They've got, he's a good player, but I'm not sure that says more about England's depth than how good he is in truth. Centre half, I think they've been playing with Senderos and Ron Vlaar, have they? And So again, it doesn't look like something that, you know, it looks like something that we could exploit. Those two again, Vlad had a good World Cup and such, but I don't think he's anywhere near as good as, you know, some of the centre halves that we've taken apart over the last, you know, 6 months to a year. So hopefully there's something to go at. But we mentioned before about how we replace Sturridge and what we do about it. Two questions. Oz. Firstly, how would you like to see Liverpool line up? Presumably everyone gets through these internationals, you know, unscathed. If you're listening and you after these internationals and you're wondering why we're not talking about why, you know, Hodgson after running Sterling into the ground, why are we talking about Sterling, or, you know, after Sarko, you know, broke his leg or something, then I do apologise, but presumably everyone comes through unscathed. How would you want us to go, and B, how would you expect Rendon to go?
Well, seeing as we're at home, mate, and I'd like us to set our stall out straight away and get our Aston Villa. I'd like us to keep the same shape, mate, because we look far more dangerous when we play the 4-4-2 diamond with Sterling in the 10, mate, because he's so unpredictable and defenders really struggle to pick him up. So I'd like to see us stick with the diamond and bring Lambert in up top. I know I said earlier on I had worries about the mobility of a front two of Lambert and Balotelli, but I think being at home and us being able to set the pace of the game, I think we should be okay. But on the flip side, I think we might see Brendan revert back to the 4-3-3, unfortunately.
And and Jack, same question. What do you think the manager will do, and again, what would you like him to do?
I mean, before this Sturridge injury, I mean, the whole conversation was about whether he keep the back four the same and stuff, and whether, you know, maybe Alan would come out. But with him having to bring in someone in for Sturridge, I think the most likely one's probably Lallana, because if Lallana was to stay on the bench, you're looking at sort of 3-4 attacking midfield players on the bench. And also, I think, you know, Lallana deserves to play, no doubt about it. I think he's brought in for a sizable fee, and there's no doubt he's a big talent, and it's a real shame we haven't been able to see him yet. So I think he'll probably come in Lallana for Sturridge. I did wonder whether he might, you know, as I've just said, last time he played the 4-3-3, we weren't so good supporting the front man, so maybe he might look at a Markovic in as well, or maybe even play Lallana in the middle. There's a few shouts for that on Twitter. So I'd do that, but I think Rodgers will do that, but I'd agree with Ozzy in that I would seriously look at playing Lambert up front with Balotelli. I think Lambert deserves a chance based on his first couple of games, and it allows sort of Sterling to stay central, and, you know, we've seen how the diamond really suits. So I'd do that, but I think Lallana and Markovic and co have got a good chance of coming in for this one.
Yeah, no. I think I agree. I would go Lambert and play him up front. I've got a sneaky feeling. I think the manager might do it. Actually, I think he realises how good the diamond is, and I think he'll be loath to go back, because, especially having watched Villa, you know, dominate us down the centre of the park in the last two games. Albeit, I take Ozzy's point. You know, they haven't got Benteke now, but I think the manager will stick with the diamond. I don't think he'll want to move Sterling.
Yeah. Jack. I think he'd like to do it. It's just Lallana's been fit. You know, I think he could have basically been on the bench for Spurs. He'd been training for a while and stuff, and I think he'll really want to get him in the team. So I think when he weighs it up, it'll probably be, you know, it's a home game. We'd like to control. I think they've been playing a 4-4-2. I think, haven't they? Yeah. Sort of Richardson on the left. So I think when he weighs it up, I think he'd certainly be tempted to bring in Lambert in. And I don't think he will have too many issues with playing both Lambert and Balotelli together, because I think Balotelli, to be fair to him, you know, he's a big lump, but he can do a lot of running, and he does like the turn and that. And with him being not so sort of lazy and stuff, I think he certainly added that side to his game. But I think when he weighs it up, I think Lallana will just get it.
We mentioned before, Jack, you know, about the squad game though, and I think if he wanted to get Lallana in, and he could take Joe Allen out, maybe.
That's what I said. Yeah, and then maybe like it does give you another option there. But then, like you said earlier, Alan's arguably been one of our best players so far. He's hardly put a foot wrong. And when the likes of Lallana and Markovic came in, I mean, everyone at this time of the year puts together their strongest teams, but you hardly ever see a strongest team in a season because of injuries and stuff. And actually, I think, everyone's strongest team had someone like Coutinho or Lallana playing next to Henderson and Gerrard in the middle, but Alan's really, staked a claim to keep that spot his. He's kept Chan out the team as well. He looked really good in pre-season, and he came on against Spurs and looked good. So there's maybe an opportunity there for another spot, isn't there, with Alan coming out?
Yeah, there's options, Jack, but like I say, we play Saturday, we play Villa Saturday night. We then play Tuesday evening against, Ludogorets at home, and then we're at West Ham away. So we've got 3 games in 7 days. Yeah. So I think that we might see the odds, swap and change and whatever. Maybe Gerrard might not play every game, or maybe he might get rested in midweek. Even I know it's a Champions League game and he'll probably want to play, but there's definitely room there for players to you said about getting people games, getting Lallana in the team. I think there's 3 games there in a week, so it's nice that we've got the squad, isn't it? Because last year we pretty much were done with 12, 13, 14 players maybe, and one of them was Victor Moses, and well, he's just awful. I don't want to end the show on Victor Moses, or Joe Cole, who might make an appearance at the weekend as well. So I hope to see Joe there doing his thing of running 5 yards and putting his hands on his hips. So I'm looking forward to seeing Joe and Ali there. So before we wrap it up, I know it's a while away, Jack, but go on. It means nothing, but go on. What score do you think it'll be?
I'll go for 3-1 to Liverpool.
And I'll just go on. You might as well do this charade as well.
Keep another clean sheet, make a solid 2-0 win.
Oh, well, that's a great question, and I've just thought of in my own head, and I'm giving myself props. If Skrtel's fit, Jack, does he come back in?
I think I wouldn't, but I reckon there's a chance he might. I think I'm still not sure he's 100% convinced with Sarko, but and like we say, I mean, he even said after the game that he'll get better with game, Sarko, and I don't think Skrtel is expected to be fit, but I think if he did make a miraculous recovery, I think he actually will come in. I mean, I wouldn't, and like I said earlier, I think if Lovren and Sarko play this game and maybe Ludogorets as well and keep another clean sheet, then I think there's a decent chance they carry on together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're probably right there. I mean, I said that if Skrtel's fit, I've actually got no idea when he's due back. I don't even know how long he's meant to be out. That shows how good research and prep I've done. But we'll on that note, we'll probably leave it there. What I'll say, thanks guys for everyone who joined in live and tweeted in. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I say, if you want to tweet me at Steve Hoare, just anything what you thought of the show, anything that was good, anything that we could do better, because if it's something that we might go and carry on doing in the future if it works well. So let me know again at Steve Hoare or at the Midfield if you want. To those listening on iTunes, hope you had a nice weekend and nice Friday night while we were doing this. Hope a few drinks or whatever you managed to get up to. I hope you enjoyed it. So we look forward to England's Roy Hodgson's England playing that we probably won't watch because I've got some paint drying. Then we'll look forward to Villa next week. I say keep an eye out. We're trying to get a show together where we're basically getting fans and bloggers and podcasters from a few other teams together and just discussing the whole transfer window. The Falcao from Man United and Di Maria. Chelsea with Costa, Arsenal with Danny Welbeck. Yeah, Danny Welbeck. We'll talk. Obviously he belongs in the same conversation as those players. Yep. So on that note, guys, we'll leave it there. So that was TBT Talks live. Thank you very much for listening.